Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Martin O'Neill. In the February 3rd meeting of Bloomington Utilities Service Board, Utilities Engineer Jane Fleig recommended approval of Reynolds Construction for the I-69 relocation project.
The resolution itself and the recommendation from our consulting engineer are in the packet. The resolution indicates that we opened bids on this on January 21st. We had 4 bids that were open and read aloud. The bids have all been reviewed by our engineer and our staff, and we are recommending that we believe that Reynolds Construction of Indiana is the most responsive and responsible, and we recommend that the award be made to Reynolds for the base bid, as well as mandatory bid alternate number 2 and mandatory bid alternate number 3. So we are requesting your permission for that.
The board members approved the recommendation. The Bloomington Redevelopment Commission approved a notice of offering for a Walnut Street property that was once formerly home to the adult-oriented business Night Moves. Director of Housing and Neighborhood Development, Dora Sims, said the property must be offered for sale before beginning development plans. She spoke at the February 3rd meeting.
As you know, last year, we put out an RFI to get proposals for developers for development of that property. We received 9 proposals. We whittled that down and invited 4 of those proposals to provide presentations, and we are actually doing a deeper dive into those proposals. But in order to work with any developer in developing that property into affordable housing, the property has to be offered for sale. And so that's what you have before you is the notice to sell that real estate.
Assistant City Attorney Larry Allen said the Switchyard Park project included the Night Moves property development. He said the notice of offering amount is an average of 2 land appraisals. He explained the acceptance of the offers.
In order to accept any proposal, the minimum amount that the RDC can accept on February 20th is the average of the 2 appraisals. Otherwise, we will have to wait 30 days, and then after that 30 days, we can negotiate to any price that's acceptable to this commission.
Property bids will open on February 20th at 5 p.m. On the February 4th, the Bloomington Board of Public Works approved a noise permit for the Flow Motion Symposium. Program Manager Christina Smith said the surrounding neighborhood supported the noise permit.
She attended the Prospect Hill Neighborhood Association last night, asking for their support till 11 p.m. She did receive that support, and we did get a copy of the minutes of their meeting in writing, stating that they fully support the 11 p.m. end date.
Smith said in the past years the symposium ran until 11 p.m. She said no past complaints have been reported. Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton introduced the 2019 Public Safety Annual Report during a public meeting on February 4th. Police Chief Michael Dekoff said crime rates are up.
Right now, for comparing 2018 and 2019, you will see some significant increases in 2019 in violent crime. Rapes had a significant jump. In 2018, they dropped, but in 2017, which I'll get to the 10-year comparison in just a minute, 2017 saw similar numbers as 2019. A lot of those sexual assaults that we investigate involve people who know each other. And so, since this continues to be a trend with violent crime, one of the things that we are going to do is try to work and partner with Middle Way and work on education efforts.
Dekoff said that better reporting is a possible explanation for the increased rates. He said crimes committed with firearms saw a 40% increase. He spoke of transitioning to the National Incident-Based Reporting System, or NIBRS.
NIBRS reports everything. So the best way to kind of explain this is I'm just going to take a hypothetical case and tell you the differences in that. So let's say that we get called to a domestic, and we respond. So in that domestic, there's a battery that's committed, but then there's also the forcible taking of property, which would be a robbery. So under the Uniform Crime Report reporting information, you would report the most serious crime, which would be the robbery. Under NIBRS, you report everything. So what that's going to do is it's going to take what information that is published by the federal government in the Uniform Crime Report, and it's going to expand the reporting criteria and the numbers.
DCUF also said that officers have received updated body and car cameras. Director of Community and Family Resources Department, Beverly Callender Anderson, said that mental health training was provided to approximately 200 community members. She specifically mentioned programming at the Shalom Community Center.
We created a public-private partnership that helped to expand programming and weekend services at Shalom Center. So prior to this, Shalom was only open 5 days a week. Now they're open 7 days a week. The first commitment was for 12 months it was the city and several other groups, and the city upped their commitment for the next 12 months after the first commit was concluded. So we did that recently.
Fire Chief Jason Moore also presented an update on the 2019 fire reports.
Fires are down, but we have been investing heavily in getting to the cause of all these fires, training our investigators. I would say that I am very pleased with our collaboration with BPD. From what we can tell, every fire that has been a potential arson that was identified as a legitimate arson, we have actually caught that person, which does drive down overall fire numbers when you don't have someone that's getting away with a fire that starts multiple.
The fire department reported 0 fire fatalities for the 3rd year in a row. Moore spoke about education programs and said the best results for education retention were ages after 2nd grade. He also mentioned business fire pre-plans.
But with the pre-plans, we're sending the operational crews out to learn the buildings, to learn about our citizens. It's a big difference when you go in blind to a building, and then when you go blind and all you know is what you can see this far in front of you. So getting a layout, learning what's important, especially with business owners. Not only are we looking at the business itself, but we ask them questions like, if all the people were out, obviously, what's the next thing you would want us to save?
Moore said he saw an unprecedented rise in total call volume, with rescue calls receiving the highest increase of all categories. And we'll have more from CATSweek after this.
Do you know that thousands of children go without school supplies every day? Teachers Warehouse is a 100% volunteer-powered organization. We service the educational and creative needs of students in Monroe, Brown, Greene, Lawrence, and Owen counties by distributing school supplies free to the teachers. Teachers Warehouse is composed of 7 rooms filled with books, pencils, paper, and even tools to motivate students. If it's in a classroom, we'll supply it. To donate new or gently used school supplies or volunteer, give us a call at 812-929-7522 or email us at contact@teacherswarehouse.net.
Welcome back to CATSweek. At their February 5th meeting, the Monroe County Commissioners approved a survey digitization agreement with Integrity One Technologies. Surveyor Tron Enright Randolph explained the benefits of the proposal.
We have a couple boxes that need to be sent off and scanned. The material is in different varies of form. There's some degradation going on with some documents and some are fine. So we'll do color scanning with the ones with the degradation so we can kind of get the image to pop, and the other ones will be kind of black and white technology. We've worked with Integrity One since 2018, and they've been pretty successful, and their price is pretty kind of on par with what our expectations are.
Enright Randolph said scanned records will be linked on the county website and that digitization will benefit surveyor fieldwork.
And so surveyors can use that instantaneously. So if you have a mobile device, if they're out in the field and they need this information as they're making a decision call, they make quasi-judicial decisions. So it's really important to get this information in their hand as they're in the field operating. And they can use this evidence to really make a decision and a determination of where the section corner monument is, which is outlined here. So this allows people to kind of use what has came before them and eliminate potential roving corners.
At the Commissioner's work session, Health Administrator Penny Caudle proposed a Sharps container pilot program in conjunction with the Bloomington Parks Department.
That will allow people to dispose of used syringes in a safe, appropriate manner in parks where we know that we're finding unused, or there's just not the ability to do that currently. And so we, of course, have kept data, and the city has kept data, and we've met with Parks Department, and they've agreed to do this as a pilot and use these 3 parks, and then we'll track that, how it's being used, how frequently they're being filled up, what kinds of issues we may or may not be having, and then determine at that point whether or not it's expanded and those kinds of things.
Caudle said the Sharps boxes and their disposal will be managed by the County Health Department. Commissioner Lee Jones asked Caudle which parks will be receiving the boxes.
Do we know which city parks they're...
Yes, it is, let me double check so I tell you correctly, it is Seminary, it is Trades Park, Building Trades Park, and Butler.
Commissioner Julie Thomas said container implementation in county parks is also important. The commissioners unanimously approved the partnership with pending ratification for their next meeting. Development Services Manager Jackie Scanlon presented the Bloomington City Council with Curry Urban Properties Preliminary Plan and District Ordinance on February 5th. She addressed the plans for building workforce housing in the development.
The petitioner is proposing on-site workforce housing units with 10% of the beds being available for a maximum to a maximum of 100% of area median income, and 5% of the beds at a maximum of 120%. So that is a 99-year agreement for on-site units. So that's great. That's what we have been working toward with other locations. So they have agreed to do that.
The City Council's Land Use Committee recommended approval of the ordinance with reasonable conditions. Councilmember Ron Smith asked Scanlon about light pollution protocol.
So we have lighting standards that don't allow for certain amounts of light to cross over a property line, and we would, if a neighbor said, "Hey, they're having a program out there and it's shining into my lights," we would go and measure and see if it meets the requirements.
So the individuals at Cambridge Square, if they said, "Oh, it's really light,"
they could call us and we would check and make sure it met code.
Okay.
Other reasonable conditions included covering parking garage entrances with green screens or artwork, and language requiring the building to meet cool or vegetated roof standards. Councilmember Kate Rosenbarger said the building aims to support walkability.
This condition is asking to record in writing that on-site parking only be offered a la carte, so that it is not included in rent. The purpose of this is that people will then think about it a little more than normal, and as the petitioner has already spoken to tonight, he's really prioritizing and encouraging walkability and bikeability, so it's just a way to have folks think about their use of an automobile.
Councilmember Isabel Piedmont Smith said the cost for a signalized traffic intersection should fall on the developer. Curry said paying for a new traffic signal was too expensive and would be a deal breaker.
We've agreed to provide and meet to help reduce the carbon footprint by doing solar panels, by doing charging stations, by doing a white roof. There's roughly over probably $60,000 right there in improvements. Most of all, we have an agreement in the affordable housing sector of all this. And had we known that to pay for a stoplight would have been part of the approval, we could have factored that into our negotiations at that point because it is such a big ask.
Scanlon said that developers typically pay for traffic improvements necessitated by their development. However, she also said that the need for a signalized intersection in this case is not likely. Community member Connie Cookland suggested splitting the cost between the petitioner and the city. Smith said public safety should be a city responsibility.
Burdening one developer for the cost of the signal when honestly, IU Health may have a larger impact on that intersection than the building. And so I'm going to be voting no for this amendment.
The council voted against the amendment requiring the petitioner to pay for a signalized traffic intersection. Council members approved the district ordinance and preliminary plan with the approved reasonable conditions. And we'll have more from CATSweek after this.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me.
But with Girls Inc. in my corner,
There for me, every day, believing in me.
Showing me what's possible.
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body.
to say I can rather than I can't,
To say no with no apology.
To be a leader.
to finish school,
To own my future.
To break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner. With you in my corner,
I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to CATSweek. Senior planner Tommy Barham proposed a lot size variance request for a 1-acre Griffey Lake property at the February 5th Monroe County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. She said the lot does not meet minimum lot size requirements.
Well, about 70% of the lots don't meet minimum lot size requirements. A bulk of those are in that bittersweet subdivision. And this is the plat. So in the red circle there, that's where you would see where the petitioner site is. It was not included in this subdivision. That was back in 1981. We would not create a subdivision like this today.
Barham said the plot is currently zoned conservation residential. Planning Director Larry Wilson said the land has already been platted. He said the variance is for a lot size compatibility.
Whether this property is entitled to a minimum lot size variance. The question is not whether there should be development in this area. You could argue that this area should not have been developed in 1981. Especially at these lot size without sewers. I mean, that's another argument as well. But it was, and this lot existed at the same time, it's just not been developed yet. So the question is it appropriate, given the surrounding characteristics of the existing lots where people have houses, apparently successfully have houses, is appropriate.
The proposed variance was approved with board member Margaret Clements casting the lone no vote. At the February 6th meeting of the Ellisville Plan Commission, Planning Director Kevin Tollety proposed a new building department fee and procedure amendments.
I will say that all these are directly related to our upcoming building department, mostly with the building department fee, well, entirely fees and the procedures of the building department that relate to zoning and planning. As part of that, because we had to develop a brand new fee schedule for the building permits, I moved all of the planning fees and the building permit fees into the same chart so that someone can find them all in the same location. In doing so, I had to change the references to 9 other codes, which is why there are so many text amendments.
Commissioner Pat Wesolowski asked Tollety about partial demolition permits.
What if I have I'll use the number, 20 by 20 shed, and only tear down 3 sides of that building? Well, which has happened. Kentucky Fried Chicken up in, over here at Highland Village tore down 3 sides and left 1 up, if you remember. If I do that, do I have to get a permit?
The building that they did that with?
Yes, they did.
I'll tell you why. That someone else did this. That's a county regulation.
Right.
That won't happen here. The reason they did that would not happen here.
Why do they do that?
Because if they tore the whole structure down, they wouldn't be able to rebuild.
That's right. And that's my question is if I tear down 3 sides of a building, do I need a permit? I'm not tearing down the building, I'm only tearing down partial.
I honestly don't know what the answer to that is.
The Plan Commission passed the building department amendments with added certificate of occupancy costs for existing buildings. On February 6th, the Monroe County Election Board discussed their preparations for the 2020 primary elections. Election Supervisor Karen Wheeler updated the board on the election central reconstruction.
We have taken down walls, we've expanded the ballot room, we have way big open space that we'll be able to use for the voters. It's very impressive. We have all new carpeting that was finished yesterday. Today, the only thing that was left is doing some of the trim work and a few just other minimal things that Weddle Brothers said they will be finished today by today's end.
Wheeler said the renovations would double voter capacity. She said volunteer recruitment started in January.
We started already in January. We usually start about 6 weeks from Election Day. And so I've had my office take that over temporarily. And so they've started and they've gotten some recruitments already for Election Day workers. I will need about 350, 360 poll workers, which is a lot. More than half are Democrats because Democrats have the inspectors, the Republicans don't.
The election board also approved early primary election dates and times. Those details will be posted online at monroecountyvoters.us. And that's all for CATSweek. Thanks for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Martin O'Neill.